Okay, bottom line, I knew that there was more to Django being just a movie because for several days between Christmas and New Year's, on Drudge's website every day, they were trashing Django Unchained, this movie. And Drudge is famous for portraying black politicians, particularly President Obama, in ways that emphasize their race in a negative context. But this was something else. He wasn't going after actor Jamie Foxx, who's African-American, or filmmaker Tarantino, who's white, but who made the movie. This was more subtle. What Drudge was doing on the Drudge Report, on his right-wing so-called news website, was he was suggesting that Django was a failure as a movie. In other words, a financial failure, that people weren't showing up to see it. And obviously, the reason he's doing that, he's trying to discourage people from seeing the movie. So I'm sitting here looking at this going, why? Why is Drudge trying to discourage people from being a movie? I mean, what could it be? I mean, here's a movie about a black hero. Is that what's causing the hard right to go nuts? I mean, I saw the movie on Christmas Day with my wife Louise and our kids, I think 2 of our 3 kids in Portland, Oregon. The audience was all white. They cheered the black guy and his wife. But is that enough to draw the hatred of the hard right in America to get you on Drudge Report trashed? I mean, plenty of movies have African-American heroes, do really well with white audiences, and they don't get trashed by hard right so-called news websites. And so for 3 days, I'm walking around going, there's got to be something I'm missing. What's Drudge so upset about here? And then it hit me. The importance of that movie, Django Unchained, the importance of that movie is not just the horrors of slavery, although that's really important about it, and it's not that it's a really great story of a knight off to rescue his damsel in distress, which it is, and it's not about brilliant acting on the part of Jamie Foxx and Leonardo DiCaprio, and it's not about brilliant filmmaking. Instead, it was a giant middle finger to the South. And not just to the South of 1858, which is when the movie is set. It was a screw you to the South of today. And all the Republican politicians from other parts of the nation, increasingly, including the Midwestern states, where the KKK is on the rise since the Obama election 4 years ago, who have adopted the divisive, or is that divisive, however you say it, and race-baiting politics of the South. From Michigan Governor Rick Snyder handing over entire largely African-American communities and school districts to crony emergency managers to loot on behalf of their rich buddies, to the Republican governors pushing voter suppression ID laws, to the raw, racist rhetoric by national Republican legislators that they're going to break President Obama, to the white politician who shouted, "You lie," during a State of the Nation speech, to these Republicans who proudly brag and repeat that their first and most important job was to make sure our first African-American president is a one-term president. These guys, they don't use the N-word as publicly or as frequently as their political ancestors did back in 1858, or as is used in the movie. Instead, they use phrases like states' rights. Where Ronald Reagan gave his first speech in 1980 after he was nominated for President of the United States? He went to a little town of fewer than 10,000 people down in Mississippi, Philadelphia, Mississippi. And he gave a speech on states' rights. And there were all these white folks around America who just kind of didn't notice that because they didn't know what was going on. And what, Philadelphia, Mississippi? Did he get the state wrong? Did he mean to go to Pennsylvania? Oh, no. This was Reagan's first speech as a Republican running for President of the United States in Philadelphia, Mississippi, where 3 civil rights workers were murdered. Or Republicans talking among themselves privately, where they say things like, there are people who will vote for the president no matter what, who are dependent upon government, who believe that they're victims. There are people who pay no income tax, and so my job is not to worry about those people. Remember when Mitt Romney said that? They're following the strategy that Richard Nixon pioneered for the Republican Party. He called it proudly his Southern strategy. So here, now just consider this. In this movie, there are 2 primary white characters. One is played brilliantly and brutally by Leonardo DiCaprio. He's got a thick Southern drawl and the worldview of those people who are today working to suppress the black vote. The other white character in the movie speaks with an accent that's somewhere between John Kerry and Martin Bashir, and he's horribly offended by that Southern ethos. Guess which one of those two white guys is the center of evil for the movie? Now, again, there's a lot of black primary characters in mainstream movies that draw large white audiences. And Jamie Foxx is as brilliant an actor and as strong a character as you'll ever see in any movie, regardless of race or genre. But when you see Django Unchained, you'll understand why Foxx is not just playing another black action hero or action hero generically. This movie is about something altogether different. It's about a culture in the South that existed for hundreds of years before 1858 and is still alive today. Quentin Tarantino and Jamie Foxx have delivered a clear message to the tenthers, the birthers, the secessionists, and the voting ID suppressionists of today's Republican Party, and their very few high-profile African-American enablers. Now, I don't know if that was Tarantino's goal. I mean, you'd have to ask him, and I don't know him. I haven't asked him. But speaking for myself, to this white movie viewer, that subtext of the movie was inescapable. And what caused me to suddenly realize it, I got to say, apparently, it was also inescapable to Matt Drudge. Because, like I said, you don't see right-wing news sites going after movies. And just full disclosure, by the way, I'm not plugging this because Leo DiCaprio's in it. I am in one of his movies. It's called The 11th Hour. It was inspired by my book, The Last Hours of Ancient Sunlight. And he and Robert De Niro are going to star in a movie that's going to be out this year by Warner Brothers that's based on a book that Lamar Waldron and I wrote called Legacy of Secrecy. But I have not discussed this movie with him, and I'm not here to pitch the movie. I'm here to say I thought it was amazing, and there's something going on. I think that people are waking up to that Southern worldview.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Call 866-987-THOM.
Let me rephrase that. White people are waking up to that Southern worldview. African Americans have known about it long. We'll be back.